Hello guys, welcome back to another episode in this channel, and today's video is going to be focused on the C exam in anesthesia school. So CSEE stands for self-evaluation examination. Like the word said, is an exam that is meant to help you examine how you study during CRNA school. Are you in a good pathway? Are you getting prepared for your board exam at the end of the day? So that being said, not every school offer the C exam for their students, but my school did. So we have to go through two self-examination exam in my program before we end up taking the ultimate board exam to be certified as CRNAs. So my school, we first take one after the didactic portion, which I did a couple of months ago, and you take another one just before your graduation day, and then you take your board exam. So in today's video, I'm going to focus on the first C that I took. I'm going to talk about my start, how I studied for the exam, what I think really helped me, and the things that I would have changed if I knew earlier. So that being said, let's dive in. So talking about the C self-examination exam is mainly based on 4 topics. So you have your basic science. Your basic science takes in anatomy, physiology, pharmacology. You have principle of anesthesia. Principle of anesthesia covers things like regional, like things that you learn during anesthesia school. That's how I put it. And you also have special pops and special population and surgical procedures. Special population is like you talk about geriatric, pediatric, OB, surgical procedures. Like the name said, you have surgical procedure 1, surgical procedure 2 throughout the program. Yes, you're gonna be examining on those. And the last topic is instrumentation. Instrumentation and technology. It covers like the anesthesia machine, if you know the component, if you know how it works. So basically these are the 4 topics on the C exam, and you get graded from 300 to 600. So 600 is the highest score you can ever get. Woohoo! Now my school require 450. Some school doesn't even require any score, and like I said before, some school doesn't require you to even take the exam, and some school require a lower score. So 450 is like a higher score, national average, but is highly doable. So technically, we in my school are supposed to take the C exam before the end of the 4th semester. So before December 20th 2024, we were required to pass that exam in order to start the process for our clinical placement. And I started studying for the C in the beginning of that 4th semester. So I had shorter time, but when I first started studying, I was listening to people that were talking about how hard the exam was, how it's hard to get it done on the first attempt, and they were mystifying the exam. So I first took a date to take it on December 18, something like that, knowing that the last day to pass the exam was December 20, because I told myself that if this thing is hard, and I know myself, my first trial is always the best. So I want to take time to study, since I also had my other classes to study about, because you still have to pass your classes. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna give myself time. I don't want to be in a rush, and I want to pass it on my first attempt. This is when I was listening to other people, and then I have my friend, and she actually said, well, we had 4 chances because you have up to 4 chances. Why don't you just give a leap and see how it's gonna go? And the fact that other people in my cohort were passing the exam, and I was like, okay, so this thing is kind of doable. And I went also online on Reddit, and I was reading what other went through their experience. I listened to other CRNAs on YouTube, what they did, what they used, and I took a decision to take it like 3 months earlier than December. So how did I study? Everything was Apex. My school offered Apex and Prodigy at no cost. So I went through Apex, and I only study Apex. Now I have some classmates who did both Prodigy, but when I went to take questions in Prodigy, I was frustrated because I am a concept girl, and I didn't get that concept thing with Prodigy. Prodigy was about like the content, like if you can regurgitate the topic that they give you. And I'm not that type. I'm most concept girl, so I was frustrated, so I dropped Prodigy. I didn't even do 100 questions in Prodigy. Now I went through Apex. Now Apex also have a question bank that I did not use, but I end up purchasing just in case, but I really didn't use it because I mainly just went through like the one that was free first, and I told myself if I have extra time, then I will go through their question. So how did I study? I want to mention that I had a solid foundation on my courses, so Apex wasn't for me a way to study, but just to revise the things that I already knew. And there were quite few things that I didn't know. I found it in Apex. So my goal was to be average in all of the 4 topics that the CRNAs was going to test me on, because it's an adaptive system. So once it finds your weakness, it keeps giving you question on your weakness to see how low you can get. And my point was like, if I'm average with every topic, so that means I really don't have a deep weakness, and it's just gonna let me pass. And yeah, it worked pretty well for me. So I started from the module 1 to the module 12 with Apex. So I wasn't going through the entire like lesson in Apex on the topic that I felt like comfortable, like pharmacology and things like basic science. I felt really comfortable with them because it's part of the thing that we saw through nursing school, and then got into CRNA school, repetition, pharmacology, the basic pharmacology. I was really comfortable with that. So what I did, I just went straight to the flashcard. I was doing the flashcard, and the way I was doing the flashcard that actually helped me is like when I take a flashcard, I don't read the answer, and the question it asks, I ask it to myself, and I will see if I can answer. So I will take a sheet of paper, answer the question the way I would have answered during an exam, and then I will flip back and look at the answer on the flashcard. And if I don't master the thing that I was supposed to master in that question, or if I didn't answer adequately, then I will go back into the all review of Apex, because the flashcard in Apex actually shows you where to find the content related to the question. So doing my flashcard, if I found out that, oops, I wasn't able to answer this, so I will go back into the main Apex and read the entire topic until I'm able to answer that question the way Apex wants me to answer. And doing that, I found out that the exam is not also, it's content wise, but they want you to think in a certain way. And Apex actually really helped me because Apex shaped your mind. it gives you a different way of thinking. And I think that's what really helped me with Apex. So doing this flashcard, I was actually learning how to think according to the C exam or the CRNA. So after that, after each module, Apex offers you questions, and I will go and do those questions. I will not time myself. I will do in the study mode. And same thing, if I miss a question, I go back in the entire module on Apex and I will read the whole thing through. Yes, it's time consuming, but I would say it pays off and it solidifies the concept. So I would do like this for each for each flashcard, and at the end of the module, I would just ask myself, what is the thing in this module that I find it difficult? What was my weakness? And I will be honest with myself, and I will just write it down and keep moving. So at the end of the 12 modules, I will go back on my weaknesses and I will just study again and take questions. And sometimes I will Google things because I'm very much a visual person. Like when we talk about instrumentation, anesthesia machine, I did a lot of Googling, I did a lot of YouTube, seeing people actually doing it. It helps me solidify the information. So for visual learners like me, I will highly recommend that you do so. And after the 12th module, I went in the anesthesia Apex questions. So Apex actually offers you mock exams. They offer study mode and they offer where you time yourself. So I will go through. After the 12th module, I started doing my mock exam, and I started with the study mode, same concept. And the school actually helped us by giving us a way to approach those modules. Like I would take module 1 and 2, because the C exam itself is 400 questions that you have to go through in 4 hours, and it's actually enough time. For me, I felt like the time was like adequate. Some question you spend more time, other question is just a click and go. So I had 20 minutes left after the C exam, and I'm a very slow taker. When it comes to exam, I take all my time, so the time was like fair to me. So when I was studying, I was taking mock 1 and 2, and that was like in a time mode. But when I was doing the mock study mode, I would just take 1 mock at a time because I was still studying. And after taking the mock, I would just go back and I will make sure I read all my rationale, whether I know that topic from the top of my head or not. I will read all my rationale. And if when reading something still doesn't make sense, because sometimes you answer the question, it's all accurate, you have no doubts, and then when you read the rationale, they put something there that you question yourself. So yes, I will read all my rationale and I will go back, and if something doesn't make sense when I'm reading that rationale, like I said before, I go back to the entire review and I will review all what I was supposed to read. So I did that for all my mock in the study mode, and after doing all the mocks in the study mode, I went doing the mock in the exam mode, in the time mode. So in the time mode, I was very accurate at timing myself. I had a little timer on my table and I was doing 1 minute per question. That was it. Whether I can answer it or not, I would just click and go after not 1 minute. So yes, so I did mock 1 and 2, then 3 and 4, then 5 and 6, then 5 and 7, because the school says the mock 5 is kind of like the content is very critical and it's kind of the same type of question that you might see on your exam. So I did that, and it actually really helped me. And like I said, at the end of each mock, I will go back. It usually took me like 2 days to review like each mock exam, because it's just like a bunch of things that you really have to know, and just the time to digest all those things. So I will go back and read the entire rationale, and if something doesn't make sense, it has to make sense, right? So I will go back and read the entire models about it. So this is how I really approached Apex. And then after the mock exam, there were some other exams that I did not have time to do. Like I said, I pushed my exam really earlier in the semester because I just wanted to give me that extra time to study for the classes, and also to take a chance, right? Because I first put it on December 18th, and I didn't know how I would have done it, and I had other plans in my life. So that is how I approached the C exam. And also, while doing Apex, I will also go back in my PowerPoints, the one that our teacher gives us in class, and if something didn't make sense, I will also touch base on the PowerPoint and see. And I also study with my book. I read a lot in my book, and I feel like the book was pretty, like there were some things that were not aligning. Like you're gonna see that in anesthesia, like CRNA school, there's a bunch of things that overlap, books contradicting themselves, but it actually Apex will give you a clear cut point on those things. And usually you don't get tested on this, right? Because these are variation in between books. So yes, I read a lot. And one thing I also did, I went in my book, like topics like regional, to be exposed with so many ultrasound images. I went in the book, I think I went in Nagelout, and I was just looking at the pictures, just browsing through the picture to know like how does this look on the ultrasound, because you get a lot of hard points too. Like you have to tell them, they will show you an image that you have to tell what it is. So yeah, and I wasn't that great at ultrasound, so I will go back in the book and just looking at a bunch of pictures, trying to make sense, trying to get it in my head. And I would just do that like on my Sundays. I used to do that Sundays evening, and I would just go through pictures. And I think 3 days before the exam, Apex also offers you a math sheet where you can have like all the formulas, and there is a platform where you can practice your math. So I also did that like 1 week. That I did that 1 week ahead of the exam. And during my studying, I already like kind of have a good point, solid foundation with those formulas. So I would just try to exercise myself and practice those math questions. And 3 days before the exam, I also went through the videos. They have a complete section of all their videos that you can find in Apex. So I was just laying in my bed watching those videos. They are very relaxing, and I'm a visual learner. So the more I was seeing things in those videos, the more it kind of solidified the information. So at the end of the day, I made a decent score, and I was happy about it. One thing I really want to emphasize is I was more stressed going into the exam, not because that I don't know what I was doing or I wasn't sure if I was ready, but because of a lot of people were talking about the exam. And I just want to say that this exam is highly doable. It's doable if you spend the time, if you study, if you learn. Yeah, I want to say if you learn what you are doing. Study as if you are on the bedside. Don't study just because, oh, I'm a student, I need to pass this. No. Study in a manner that you picture yourself as actually doing what you are studying about. So in every topic, see the clinical relevance, and that will help you a lot just retaining this sheer amount of information and solidify it. So this is what I did for my C exam. So if I knew this earlier, what would have changed? I would have started study earlier. And maybe I would have studied a little bit of Prodigy, because my classmates said Prodigy study were good, although their questions sucked, but the study part was good. So next time I think I will try to combine Apex and Prodigy together. And like I said, I purchased the Apex question bank, but I actually did not have a chance to do it. So next time I think I'm gonna go ahead and do it and see if I score even higher. So these were my things that were difficult for me. The equipment part was difficult for me, but I already knew that was my weakness point, because even from the day that we had that equipment lesson and stuff, I was having a hard time to just get the topic, but I worked hard on it. I want to say that it was one of the things that I kept going into Apex to review the entire modules, because that was my absolutely weakness. And yes, I made also a decent score on that. And yeah, so I want to say, if you are out there just looking to get into CRNA school, or if you're already in and you're looking to take your C exam, I would say start studying early. If you don't have time yet, start studying with what you have, your book, your PowerPoints, and maybe 12 or 15 weeks before the exam, go into Apex and master Apex. If a topic is difficult to understand in Apex, I feel like Prodigy has it. Like, Prodigy is more basic. Prodigy can break it down for you. Listen to YouTube videos, and actually the book is easy to understand. The anesthesia books, most of their books are very easy to understand, and you can get a lot of information. But because you're trying to narrow it down, just go in the book and get the stuff that you don't understand in Apex. But Apex was the cornerstone for me, so I will recommend every student to dig into Apex. So this is what I did. If you have any question, please drop down below. If you have a comment, you're welcome. And if you have any question, in the chat. Thank you so much, and Happy New Year.